afternoon. We're on just a little bit early. So thanks for tuning in to our Facebook Live. I'm Marylee Nunley with United Stroke Alliance, and our nonprofit focuses on prevention, awareness, and recovery from stroke. And we're glad to see you, glad to have you joining us this afternoon, or this evening, or tomorrow morning, whenever you're watching, because we'll be on there for days.
Yay.
So, today I'm going to be talking with my granddaughter, Phoebe, and we're going to be talking about fostering leader dogs for the blind and how her family got involved in that. And as the grandmother, I was, I think they were grandpuppies to me too. It's just, I thought it was quite fascinating, and it is a huge undertaking. If anyone's fostered a dog for a special purpose, there are so many rules and regulations, and we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. So let's get started. Welcome, Phoebe.
Hi.
And I'm going to tell you how this happened. She is a sophomore in high school,
Yes.
and she's, what class did you do this presentation for?
I did a speech in communications about this.
And this was her narrative speech.
Yes.
And we don't mean to brag, but what was your score?
I got 100.
So let's brag a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll brag a little bit. So I want to go all the way back to how you even came about this in the first place. I know this has been 6 years.
Ago.
6 years ago that you got your first, you fostered your first, so it was probably 6.5 years ago. So you were quite a bit younger,
Yeah.
10 years
I was
old.
9, yeah.
You were 9 years old. She just turned 16 since we saw her last. She's now 16. What do you recall from your vantage point? What do you recall about the initial discussion about fostering a dog?
So me and my dad, we already had 2 dogs of our own, and me and my dad really wanted another dog just because, like, why not? And my mom was not a fan of the idea of getting another dog.
But what is your mother's profession?
My mom's a vet, but she always says that 2 dogs is her limit, no more than 2.
Got it.
But me and my dad were very adamant that we would get another dog. And so I'm not really sure how my mom came about figuring out about this, but me and my dad and her were talking about it, and she brought up the idea that we did something like trained a leader dog, or a dog for a job or something
Like more
this.
volunteering with a dog versus owning a dog.
Right, because then we wouldn't have them for forever, and we could get rid of them after a year and not have another dog. And so we talked about doing that. Yeah. Should I?
And what there was and I was with you at this moment. What particular event kind of convinced you that that's what you wanted to do?
So my mom got invited from a friend to see Tom Sullivan perform, which he is a blind person that he plays the piano, and he's very famous. And so my mom got invited from a friend. It was a fundraiser, and Tom Sullivan has actually had leader dogs. And so we actually got invited to the after party afterwards, and I was 9 years old, but I got to talk to Tom Sullivan about it, and I told him that me and my family were thinking about raising leader dogs, and he told me that I would be his hero if I did that. So that was kind of the turning point where we were we have to do this because I'm going to be Tom Sullivan's hero.
So then after that, your mom started the process for the adoption. What do you know about that as far as?
I don't know a lot
There's
about
an application process,
Yes.
isn't there?
Yes, we had to apply, and we talked to them about it.
And get approved?
Yeah. And I mean, it wasn't that hard to get approved because my mom's a vet. We're kind of yeah. But we had to talk to them and stuff. And then after you apply for it, it takes a couple I don't know if it was a couple of weeks. It was probably a couple months.
I bet it was months.
Before they had a litter ready for us, because they have a waiting list of people that want dogs. So we had to wait until there was a litter ready, and they we were up on the list. So then they called us and told us that they had a dog ready for us, and we went and got her.
And you went and got her. And what breed of a dog was it?
So our first dog, Dinah, was a black lab.
Yeah. And how many leader dogs have you fostered in the last 6 years?
We've raised 4.
That's right.
And
Dinah was your first.
yes.
And probably closest to your heart. Although we loved Caroline too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you brought Dinah home, and talk a little bit about the training that it requires. This was fascinating to me, and of course, as the grandmother and someone that was here every week, spending time with the children, I had to adhere to all of those rules. Anytime I was around Dinah or we were in public with Dinah, we all had to adhere to the rules. So
Yes.
go over some of those
first,
rules.
Hi, Granny.
Hi, Granny.
Okay, so, so you could take her anywhere. We took her to all public places because once she goes with the blind person is going to take them everywhere they go. So you have to train them in every situation. As puppies, they have to wear like this little bandana that says that they're training, and then as adults, they wear a vest that says that they're like leader dogs in training, so they can go places. But yeah, should I talk about like all the rules?
Yeah. I think the rules.
So there's a lot of rules, I guess. You couldn't like allow them on the furniture because the blind person, if they're sitting on the furniture and then the dog jumps up on the furniture, they have no idea that the dog's about to jump. So it could be like really scary for them, or like the dog could jump on their lap and they have no idea. So in like training, you have to think of everything that a blind person is gonna do and like what would like hurt a blind person or like scare a blind person, like stuff like that. And then they couldn't be off leash. They had to be on the leash all the time. This is kind of like a like liability thing for the like. You couldn't lose the dog, because if you lost the dog, then like that would be not good. So they couldn't be off leash. They either had to be in a fenced-in area or on leash. And we have an invisible fence where it's like a wire underground, and they wear a collar and it shocks them when they go over the fence. And we couldn't train them on that because then they'd be scared of like any like shocking or any noise like that, and the blind person wouldn't know what happened. They also couldn't play fetch because as a dog, if they're walking past a dog park and somebody throws a ball for another dog, they'd want to chase after that ball, and they just like dart off towards the ball and like drag the blind person with them. So you really just have to think about, like, if you weren't seeing what was happening, how would you feel if that happened?
I remember one incident with Dinah where your folks brought her to the church, the large church, and she had not been on an elevator.
Yes.
And so I remember we went up and down in the elevator several times so that she would get the experience of an elevator.
Yeah.
And did you take a train ride with one of your dogs?
Yeah, we went to Chicago with one of our dogs, and we also went on like public buses and things because we live in a small town, and you never know, like the blind person, they usually live in bigger towns, so you have to go to like other places and go around the city and like get them used to that kind of thing.
Yeah. Talk about the steps, because I thought that was fascinating. You were talking about having to find a certain kind of steps
Oh yeah.
to practice on. Talk about that.
So we would always go to Menards because they have open grate stairs where like they're like, how do I even?
Great, they're great. They have,
Right.
Yeah.
So they have little holes all in them, and Menards has them, and we would walk dogs up and down them because most dogs are scared of them because they think that their feet are gonna fall through the little holes, and we'd walk them up and down so they could get used to it because the blind person might want to go up open great stairs,
Right.
and the dog can't be scared of that.
Yeah. You had a counselor that you met with. Talk a little bit about how that connection works. And the counselor is someone who is heavily trained
Yes.
on what has to happen with a leader dog for them to pass and go to the next level, right?
Yeah, so they're really experienced like trainers. Like they've trained their own leader dogs, and they've been doing it for years. So they actually helped us like So we meet up with them every month, and we go to places like Menards. That was one of the places that like the counselors showed us, and we would go there with them. And so we'd go into like Galesburg or Peoria or somewhere, and we'd meet up somewhere, and we'd walk around with them, and we'd say like they'd teach us how we can improve on training, and we talked about what we were struggling with, and they'd like give us advice on how to fix it and everything like that.
Yeah, that's good. So how long did you have each of these dogs?
So we train them for a year until they're 1 year
And you
old.
get them when they're about 8 weeks old? Is
Yes,
that about 8 weeks old?
very young.
So they're a little over a year. So you take them through the puppy stage, training them all the while.
Yeah.
All the while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then when the dog goes back, we do have. I might pull that one picture out of how Dax felt when you took Caroline back.
Okay.
We've got a couple of pictures here, but talk about what happens when you return the dog.
So we would take the dog back. The company that we use, Leader Dogs, is in Rochester, Michigan. So we drive 7 hours up there, and we drop off the puppy, and then we come home. But while they're there, they do like training. So they start, well, first of all, they have to pass medical, and then they get like neutered or spayed. They can be picked for breeding. So if your dog's really good and they like are like super pretty and everything, they can pick the dog for breeding. But after they pass medical, none of our dogs became breeders. So after they pass medical and get spayed or neutered, they go into more training.
And I remember your mom talking about the socializing. They do some socializing, and then they go into really intense training for about another year, isn't it?
Yeah. They go into like the really like intense, like they walk with their harnesses, like there's like trainers there, and the trainers there even like wear like blindfolds, like they're blind, and the dog walks them around to see like if they can actually do that. But there they learn more of like the actual blind things, like they learn how to like, they have to show the blind person that there's like a curb if they're walking on the sidewalk, so they learn stuff like that, and they learn how to like tell the blind person that there's something there and they have to turn to the right or left, and they learn more like leading.
The command type things.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. And then with your first 2 dogs, you were aware of those dogs went on to become leader dogs and get matched with someone. So talk about Dinah and how that. Well, I think it was fascinating about the matches because Dinah was kind of a low key dog.
Yeah.
Dinah was. Am I right? And
Yeah.
Caroline was more lively.
Yes.
I'm not getting mixed up. Yeah. And Dinah got matched with a lady that you ended up meeting.
Yeah, we met both of the ladies.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Our dogs. So Dinah got matched up with Lois. She was an older lady, and Dinah was actually her first leader dog. She had a disease where like it had worsened upon time, and she had just like became blind. So Dinah was actually her first leader dog.
Okay. Yeah, and that was a great match.
Yeah.
And then Caroline was a wonderful dog, but she was livelier.
Yeah.
She was a little spunkier.
So she got matched up with Teresa, who is actually a blind and deaf person.
Wow.
So that was super cool because she's blind and deaf. And we actually went and talked to her. You can like, after they get matched up, Leader Dogs calls you and tells you about it and says that you can come meet the person that your dog got matched up with if you want. So we actually met both Lois and Teresa.
Did Dinah remember you?
Yes, they both definitely remembered us.
Cool. That's cool. That's really, really cool. I think we should show you a couple of pictures. Dinah's album is MIA, but we do have this beautiful picture of Phoebe and her mom, and Dinah's a black lab, so you can barely see Dinah there clutched with mom and daughter. And then Caroline was a yellow lab, and she's about to outgrow her little her vest. Anyway, there she is, another beautiful dog. And then she had an album here, but it's too many things to go through. But this one made me laugh because Phoebe has a younger brother, Dax, a couple years younger than her. So somewhere he would have been 8 or 9 instead of a couple years after.
Yeah.
And this was the day they were taking Caroline back. This is what he felt like the day they were taking Caroline back. Look at that sad face. Look at that pitiful, pathetic, sad face. So Dax did not want Caroline to go.
It was always sad when they had to leave.
It was, and the house seemed so empty. It was kind of like, when a child goes off to school or something, when I would come on Wednesday, the house was always a little more empty. Do you think there'll be any more leader dogs in your future?
I think maybe soon there will be another one, but I don't know.
Well, but you lost your older dog and got a newer dog about a year ago.
Right.
So you have to wait till the current dog gets a little bit past puppy stage.
Right. We had to wait after we got her. You have to have any of the dogs you have at home have to be older than a year.
Okay.
So we have to wait because then they can teach the dog bad habits, which is not what you want.
You don't want bad habits. There would be no bad habits in this house, except for the children. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, thank you, Phoebe. That was beautiful. That was enjoyable. And I think the thing for me it's like having a child. You walk that dog out to go to the bathroom they have to here because they don't have a fenced-in yard. So that dog is on leash unless it's in the house. And if the other dog jumps on the couch, leader dog can't jump on it. And they do adapt and they get used to that's their life. But there were a lot of rules to remember.
It takes a lot of training.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for watching, and feel free to tune in anytime. And also I want you to know that these videos, if you know someone who would enjoy the video and they're not on Facebook, we're converting all the videos converting them all and putting them on YouTube, our YouTube channel. So we'll be putting some information on our website and on our Facebook community about where you can find those videos. So maybe you can, someone who's not on Facebook can watch those videos on the YouTube channel. So I think, and another announcement, this week we surpassed 1,000 members in our Facebook community. And we started this in March with 30 people. So I'm very, very excited to announce that. And I'm going to do a little, see if I can do an interview. And I believe that person is in Norway. So we're international with our followers, which is kind of exciting. So thanks for watching. Feel free to invite your friends, your family, who would enjoy our time together, to join our community. And I hope you have a great evening, week, day, whatever time you're watching it.
Bye.